Welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. Trying to give one of my producers an education in graphic design about background and foreground, and that's all I can tell you at this moment. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we're making it. Hope you are too. I know. Sometimes it ebbs and flows, right? Boy, you don't know what to make of it all. It's okay. We're here, and we try to, we don't try, we're optimistic and hopeful in spite of the Niagara Fall of negative stories that just one after another. It's amazing. But we always somehow find a way to be optimistic and make our way. And Gary is here. Stephen is here. Stephen been here for 12 years. Gary for a little over a year. And all's good on the Western Front. We always have good guests on the show. It's been a consistent feature. And Dr. Kate Bleue is our guest today. She'll show up here in a little while. Lately, I would say over the last 6 months or more, we've had more than a few guests from British Columbia. Dr. Kate Bleue, Dr. Michael Lyon. There's 2 or 3 others. It's amazing. Canada and British Columbia, Canada. It's beautiful up there, and there just seems to be, I don't know, we've been running this trend lately, and a lot of them that come onto the show, many of them that come onto the show, if not most, let's see, I think almost to a person, have gone to the to that naturopathic school in Canada, the Canadian naturopathic school. I'm trying to think of the name. I just blanked on it. That school is very good. It's a medical school for naturopaths. And Dr. Kate is a graduate of that school. So we'll see what's on her mind. Soy. That's what's on my mind this morning. I know a lot.
Oh, please don't say there's bad soy. You know, I like tofu.
Oh, sorry.
Uh-oh.
I just report. I don't eat soy, fermented or otherwise. And there's a big debate in the world of diet and nutrition and medicine about soy. The lines are clearly divided. And many experts say soy is wonderful. Others say not so much. In fact, you get into trouble when you eat it. Then there's a third camp. Soy is good as long as it's fermented. Otherwise, they say steer clear. I just wonder how many people in the audience consume soy. I wonder how many men in the audience consume soy. I don't know. I doubt if there's a statistic on gender and soy consumption. You can check that. I'd be surprised, but let's see. The story this morning about a study concerning soy got my attention because of the headline and because I got one. And that is, soy may raise risk of advanced prostate cancer. Uh-oh. Boy, the soy lobby is not going to like hearing that. It's a new study. Again, I'm telling you, if I said to people, call in if you're a fan of soy, we would spend the next 2 hours talking to them.
At 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
And I have steered clear of it. There's a book out called The Whole Soy Story. The author's name escapes me at the moment. I think it's a woman. And she deconstructs the whole idea of soy. But in this study, eating soy and other foods rich in isoflavones, that's the compound in soy, may not be a good idea. In fact, they said it could increase the risk of advanced, and I'll say it again, advanced prostate cancer. However, the important conjunctive adverb, when it comes to the risk of non-advanced prostate cancer, what does that mean? That's cancer that doesn't spread beyond the prostate gland. Dietary isoflavones appear to have no significant influence. Let me understand here what they're trying to say. The operational definition for advanced prostate cancer is when the prostate is cancerous and the cancer has spread. Non-advanced prostate cancer, you have prostate cancer, but it hasn't spread, and the dietary isoflavones have no significant influence. Go ahead.
I'm just getting blown up over Facebook. I've got like everybody's texting me, soy is bad for you. So you asked and they're saying it. I've got Rufino saying it, Angela and Brandon saying it.
I told you. People have strong feelings about this. Some of the folks that have these ideas, they're informed. Others just heard it and they got on the bandwagon and don't think it's good. Prostate cancer is serious business. Why? It's the most common cancer among men in our country. That's after skin cancer. I just had a good friend of mine texted me day before yesterday. He has a brother. His brother's in his early 50s. Skin cancer, stage 3, terminal. Melanoma. Okay? So, out of the blue. Prostate cancer follows skin cancer. In 2016, they estimate that about 161,000 new cases of prostate cancer will be diagnosed in our country. And of that number, 26,000 men will die from that cancer. The research, the literature suggests that diet affects a man's risk of prostate cancer. There's no doubt about that. I said it yesterday. We were talking about benign prostate hyperplasia. We had a question, and I was answering the question about BPH and finasteride, dutasteride, and different drugs for enlarged prostate. And I said, men who eat meat and drink beer are flirting with a lot, not with BPH as well as prostate cancer. I'm just telling you what I know. I'm just reporting. This is serious. A high-fat diet is, everybody's all concerned about a high-fat diet and heart disease. A high-fat diet is profoundly, unequivocally connected to cancer and various forms. Come back, I'll tell you more and see if we can find a bright light somewhere in this darkness. Soy, prostate cancer. Same sentence. This morning, talking about a new study that found a connection between the consumption of soy and advanced prostate cancer. I will also share with you what other studies and reviews of the literature, meta-analyses show as well, and you have to make up your mind what you want to do. This particular study was conducted by Dr. Jianjun Zhang of the Fairbanks School of Public Health at Indiana University in Indianapolis and colleagues. And the data suggests that including isoflavones in your diet may also influence the risk of prostate cancer as well as advanced prostate cancer, apparently. And I'm quoting now, quote, compared with men who did not have isoflavones in their diet, those who did were found to be at a greater risk of developing advanced prostate cancer or cancer that has spread from the prostate gland to distant sites, close quote. In other words, it has metastasized. The researchers did not find a statistically significant relationship between consuming dietary isoflavones, I can tell you, and the risk of non-advanced prostate cancer. But would I want to flirt with that? I don't know. So I went on to PubMed. The PubMed is the U.S. National Library of Medicine's database, and I use it all the time. And I typed in, so you know how to do this, I typed in soy, cancer, prostate, isoflavones, review. Those were my keywords. First hit. It's a review of the literature of the molecular mechanisms of isoflavones and prostate cancer. Let me click on that, go right to the conclusion here, and it says, these reports show that although soy isoflavones induced growth, arrest, and apoptosis of prostate cancer cells are plausible mechanisms, other chemoprotective mechanisms are also worthy of consideration. And then they go on to talk about antioxidant defense and so on and so on. Other cells in the cancer milieu, such as fibroblastic stromal cells, endothelial cells, and immune cells, may be targeted by soy isoflavones, which may contribute, here it comes, to soy-mediated prostate cancer prevention. So in this study, pardon me, certain cells in the cancer milieu, in that context, in that arena, however you want to say it, can be protected from soy, according to this review of the literature, by soy isoflavones. That's one review. Then there was another review. I looked at soy and soy isoflavones and prostate cancer, a systematic review and meta-analyses of randomized controlled trials. And in this study, they concluded the results, I'm quoting, the results of a meta-analysis of two studies suggest that there may be support for epidemiological findings of a potential role for soy isoflavones in prostate cancer risk reduction. Then the conjunctive adverb, however, a clear understanding of the impact of soy isoflavones on prostate-specific antigen, total testosterone, free testosterone, and so on levels in men, or identified with a risk of prostate cancer could not be derived from these data. So the data are somewhat incomplete in this review. When I start to see a back and forth on a compound, you know what I do? I walk away from it. If it's if they're unclear, if it's too much back and forth, it tells me, it tells me that they don't know. And one group of researchers said, well, we did a scientific study and we found X. Another said, we did a scientific study and we found Y. Well, yes, you're all scientists, but you all came up with different ideas and conclusions.
I think it was kind of interesting. The study came out of Indiana, which is one of the largest producers of soy in the country. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Back home in Indiana, great song. A lot of jazz musicians have played that tune. So that's what I do. You have to decide for yourself. I do not eat soy. I don't. And I know it's a big deal in the world of plant-based nutrition. Vegans, they eat soy till it's coming out of their ears.
Well, I do.
You need to stop.
I need to stop.
You need to stop.
But this will wake you up about it.
Only because, Gary, and I have guests that are mixed. Some say it's okay. Some say no. I'm not taking the chance. So I just avoid it. It's too close a call, apparently. I don't know. Everybody thinks science clears things up. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And then bad science makes things worse. Our guest will be Dr. Kate Rowe on Bleue. And the women listening to the show and watching it, you need to share this information with all the important men in your life because they're too busy playing golf and stuff. to Let's Talk Nutrition wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Maybe you're drinking a soy protein shake. Maybe you're having some tempeh, miso, some other fermented form of soy, tofu. Maybe you're a man. Maybe you shouldn't. Why? Well, study this morning saying that there's a connection between soy and advanced prostate cancer. In fairness, I did share with you other studies that don't find a connection between consumption of soy and prostate cancer. Notice they say advanced. Advanced means that the cancer has metastasized to other parts of the body, has moved beyond the prostate. Dr. Kate Rowan Bleue is my guest today. I'm going to get her take on this. And there is so much back and forth about soy. And people like to punch it out when they... I've seen people get in some heated arguments about soy. But I don't know, you don't need to get all... They don't need to get all lathered up about it. I mean, we're just talking... It's a compound. I mean, it's a food. Let's see what Dr. Kate has to say. Dr. Kate, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thanks. Good to be here. And you're right. That is a hot topic. I've also seen people get pretty lathered up, pretty intense about the soy issue. It is a food, and yet it's a tricky one because it's one that has not been widely consumed, or rather the way it's being widely consumed in our culture now is not the way that it was traditionally consumed or eaten for a long time.
How so?
Well, you touched on fermented, and it would seem that historically that's the most common way that it was eaten, and it was never eaten in really high quantities, but when it was, in the areas it would be mostly fermented, and as well a little bit of tofu, which isn't usually fermented, but it's processed in some way. Whereas now in North America in particular, we're drinking a lot of soy milk, a lot of soy-based proteins that haven't treated, that you're consuming large amounts of soy, and it hasn't necessarily treated the soybeans in ways that can remove some of their anti-nutrients. As well, they're known for having phytoestrogens, which there's controversy around whether that's helpful or harmful for certain conditions. And again, you mentioned here when we talk about prostate, it seems to be advanced prostate cancer. In other words, not the initiation, but when you've already got that, perhaps there's something in soy that's promoting that, could be on a hormonal level. So and then again, we see studies that are pro and studies that are con. It's a bit of a mystery around the soy.
Mm-hmm. And what gets confusing, and when you look at the foods of Asia, I mean, soybeans have been part of the Asian diet for over 2,000 years, as I understand it. And they were harvested way back then in northern China. And tofu has been consumed for at least 1,000 years, according to one historical account I was reading. And so it is consumed in Asia, but is it consumed to the extent that we believe? I was trying to get my mitts on how much soy is actually consumed on average in Asian countries, different Asian countries. You would think that would be easy to pull up, but there is some confusion about it.
Agreed. I've tried to look into the very same thing and not been able to get a real clear answer on that. But I think even traditionally, glasses and glasses of soy milk and scoops of soy-based protein were definitely not something that people were eating.
This one article I was saying that soy consumption in China, I'm quoting, in China varies a lot across regions, but in Shanghai, where there is good data on food intake of adults, soy consumption is slightly higher than in Japan. But they don't tell me, let's see here. Are we talking tablespoons? We're talking about grams? How many grams a day? I mean, is it 20 grams, 15? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what your take is and how you handle this kind of issue on a personal level. When I see a lot of back and forth on a compound or a food, and it's sort of the data are split. You know what? I walk away from that food. I'm not going to consume it. It's too. I just don't want to. I don't want to take the risk, and so I don't eat soy, fermented or otherwise, or blessed by with holy water or anything else. I don't do. I don't do it.
I have to admit, I don't either. Probably for the very same reasons. When I see controversy around a food like this, I try to look back at the traditional uses and how that was done. And if that's not clear, then I do tend to stay away from it. Although with my research in my book on vitamin K2, I happen to dig into the history of one particular type of fermented soy. And again, all the evidence seems to point to the fact that fermented soy is better in a number of ways, and natto, which is this food that is the highest known food in vitamin K2. I happen to have done a lot of research on that because of that fact, seems to be generally beneficial. But again, we're not talking, people eating mountains and mountains of it. This is usually relatively small servings, a couple times a week. Some people are eating on a daily basis, but even so, the quantities are smaller, and again, the fermentation changes the food.
The fermentation changes the food. Boy, that's for sure. I was looking 902 AD in Indonesia. Tofu is mentioned in some inscription, some book, whatever. I can't even pronounce it. There's a long history here, but I don't care, history or not. I'm just not going to do it. What do you do when you have clients that come to you and say, or patients, Dr. K, what should I do here? And the evidence is mixed on something. How do you handle that?
Well, I will usually look, to the extent that I can, at their individual health history, whether there's any factors, pro or con, that they should be eating this food based on the limited knowledge that we have, as well as what the benefits might be or the drawbacks might be for that individual person.
Yeah, it's tricky business, boy. You got to be so careful. Well, we'll see what's on Dr. Kate's mind. She always shows up with something to talk about and share, and it's always meaningful and purposeful here on Let's Talk Nutrition. We are coast to coast, including Hawaii, and we're global. We stream live, and that stream is pretty formidable. When we come back, we'll give you some details about that, and then we'll get into Dr. Kate and what's on her mind. I'm curious now. Dr. Kate Rowan Bleue is my guest today. Dr. Rowan Bleue is a practicing physician, a naturopathic physician in British Columbia, and also an educator for natural factors. And she's become a regular guest on the show. We enjoy having her on. Always informed. The Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine is where she went to med school. And as I've often said, they do well there and produce wonderful naturopathic physicians. And we are coast to coast, and we're global, and you can catch the show on the stream if you like, and here's how you do that.
You can go to our Facebook page where we broadcast live on Facebook. We're one of the only few people that do that now, the whole show. Go to Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition. It's one word. You can go to Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, or go to LTN Radio on our Twitter. If you go to letstalknutrition.com, you can watch the whole show and our archive shows. Plus, your articles are on there, Doc.
Yep.
And you can go look at that at any time, and you can download from there, too.
Sure.
And we don't charge to download.
No.
Did you know that? There's a lot of people that charge you to 99 cents to download their show.
Really?
And we do it for free.
We do it. No, we don't. No, we don't do that. That's rude. Come to my house for dinner, then I give you a bill. We don't do that. Dr. Kate, welcome back. So what is on your mind today?
Well, I have to say digestion. You know, it's interesting that you started the show talking about food and, you know, controversies around different foods that we eat. But, yeah, I'm thinking about digestion. You know, I guess because I came across the Mark Twain quote recently, which is one of my favorites. To eat is human, to digest is divine. So true. And so Mark Twain.
To digest is divine. Yeah, if we can only get that done. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Riddle me this. Who was that, Batman?
Mm-hmm. The Riddler.
The Riddler. Riddle me this. Why is it that people, and there's more than a few, a large sector of the population has such a difficult time digesting food? It's not genetic, can't be genetic. Can it?
Nope. No, it's not genetic. It is, well, first of all, what we're eating as a population. That is, you know, the number one thing. Many of those foods have changed. The nature of those foods have changed from what they might have been a couple generations ago. That can make them more difficult to digest. As well, our environment, that has changed the composition of the microbiome, so that's the healthy bacteria in our intestine. That has absolutely made an impact. I think as well, certain toxins that can be affecting our liver, very, very common, and our liver is a major organ of digestion, and there's some back and forth there with the gut bacteria. So there are a number of factors which all, you know, can end up leading to poor digestion.
Here's you mentioned it, but here's a pop quiz question. Can you still get gallstones if you have your gallbladder removed?
Good question. I know there are so many people that once they've had their gallbladder removed still report gallbladder attacks.
Yep, because you can develop gallstones in the common bowel duct.
Yep.
So people think, oh, I got my gallbladder removed, and therefore I don't have to. And this is implicated in what you're talking about, digestion, because when the gallbladder is removed, it's harder for people to digest fat, is it not?
Very much so.
So this is related. This came up on the show yesterday. It is rare that happens once the gallbladder is removed. And why is it that doctors, surgeons are so eager to remove that gallbladder right away? They want to take it out right away. Why is that?
Because I think that is maybe the only solution that they know of. That's all they have. I mean, the gallbladder attacks can be horrendous. People don't want to suffer with that. But then so many people report once they've had their gallbladder out, instead of those, you know, once in a while horrendous attacks, it's a daily discomfort, difficulty digesting food. It affects the whole quality of life. Of course, the diet has to change completely. It's not a quick fix by any means.
Mm-hmm. So where do you put the spotlight when you're talking about digestion? I mean, you can't if you have a bunch of actors on the stage, the audience gets confused. So, in theater, what we know is a spotlight typically is on one in particular or a very confined group for good reason. Where do you put the spotlight initially?
Well, it's a great question, and I was thinking about that, during the intro to the show, because I thought, geez, there's things happening in the stomach, and there's things happening in the intestine, small intestine, large intestine, plus the liver, as you just mentioned, liver and gallbladder makes a massive effect. So, of course, I put the spotlight on what people are eating, and that's a big topic, and there are so many what their symptoms are. I find that supplemental enzymes can often be really, really helpful, as well as probiotics. So those are probably two key areas for sort of general health or general problems with digestion where I would start.
Mm-hmm. So okay. Let me see. All right. And I agree with you. Enzymes, probiotics, fiber, that triumvirate, that, in terms of digestion, those are the holy three. Those three, clearly. The problem that they tend toward the solution end of the conversation. The food that we're eating, these processed foods, and we know what that list is: highly processed foods with added sugar, salt, fat, no fiber. The effect that they're having, I had somebody, and sometimes just people don't know. I had this one man thought that there was fiber in meat.
Oh.
Because of the stringiness, and all. He thought that was, no, I said, man, that's fat, brother. That's gristle. That's not fiber. No. And I know it sounds, he's saying, how could people get these ideas? Well, they do. We come back, we'll try to talk about how the digestion gets sideways. The number of digestive disorders, it seems like, keeps growing, the prevalence of them, and all these itis diseases and disorders associated with the digestive tract. It seems like everybody's talking about that. Diverticulitis, colitis. It goes on and on and on and on. We'll see what we can do to help clean things up a little bit, get ourselves on the right track. Mark Twain was right. To digest is divine. It is. And to absorb is better yet. My thinking is this: when things are bad, they tend to get worse. When things are good, they tend to get better. So we want to get into that good category, don't we? And welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Wardrobe change. Oh, my God. Dr. Kate Rowan Bleue is my guest. If you're watching the show, you know what I'm talking about. Dr. Kate Rowan Bleue is my guest today. I always enjoy having Dr. Kate on. Straight shooter, doesn't, I ask hard. I can ask. The guests don't know what I'm going to ask them. They never know. And I like it that way. They may not like it so much sometimes, but I never throw guests on people that call the show. I've never done that. What good would that do? I'm not a shock jock. This is not health shock radio. This is Let's Talk Nutrition, Health Talk Radio for the 21st century for a lot of reasons. One is the technology that we have, and I'll get Gary to explain that in a moment. The other is that the show is predicated on a number of different principles. And it's not just about asking questions. It's narrative, dialogue, telling a story, right? Using that principle. And it's not about informing. I'm not here to inform you. I'm here to persuade, to change you and me. Persuading myself. I'm here learning just right along with you. And so we're about persuading. We're about it's about educating and empowering people, you and myself, to take charge of our health, to take charge of it. In spite of the challenge, as I said yesterday, it's simple, but it's complicated. And I know there's chemistry and all of that. I get it. I mean, I understand that. But the real challenge is consistency and sticking with it. And then doing the right thing. It's not just to do something, to do the right thing for the right reasons. And otherwise get educated. That empowers you. And then you don't feel so hapless and helpless in trying to figure things out. And when you get sick, that's when usually everybody goes to DEFCON 1. Well, you know what? The missile's already launched. And so you have to have the wisdom ahead of time to try and not just practice prevention, but practice preparation. Because it will happen sooner or later for one reason or another, an accident or an illness. And you want to be prepared. So that's what we're about here, too. That makes us talk radio for the 21st century. We're not here to diagnose and treat. Can't do that. And even though I have MDs, NDs, and come on to the show, and they may be legally, they can do that. MDs can do that in this country. I'm a PhD. I can't do it. No, don't want to do it. If I wanted to do that, I would have gone to med school. But we can consult. We can refer you to the literature, can refer you to the science, the studies. I can tell you what the data are. I can tell, like with soy today. It's confusing.
I was eating that 3 times a day.
You need to stop. You need to stop. Why? Because I'm looking at you as an individual. Given what I know about your health, where you are with your health, and the issues that are going on with you, that's the last thing you need to be consuming right now. And no dairy either. How about that? You hear what I said?
Yeah. No
dairy either. Not right now. And so it's very individualized. And so this is by way of saying, that's what I mean, Health Talk Radio for the 21st century. It's evidence-based. That's a harder show to do. Anybody can come on here and pop off opinions all day long. You know what? That's who wants to do? I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm trying to find out. I don't know what the truth is with a capital T. I know I'll tell you the truth as I know it. But could I be wrong? Sure, absolutely. So That's what I mean, Health Talk Radio for the 21st century. Not only the technology that we have, but it's evidence-based. It's narrative-based. It's about persuasion. It's about bringing guests onto this show that are at the top of their game. Dr. Kate's at the top of her game. I'm looking for all the, we're trying to find people that, and companies that are on the cutting edge, that are cutting their way through the jungle, not just following somebody doing the cutting. So that's what I mean by, it's in part what I mean. I could talk to you for 2 hours about what I mean by Health Talk Radio for the 21st century. So you get the idea. And Dr. Kate wants to talk about digestion today. And I mentioned yesterday or the day before, there's a reason why your digestive system is a system within your system, meaning your body. It's closed off. It's not supposed to leak. It's not supposed to, it's supposed to be self-contained for good reasons. Like the plumbing in your house. You don't want the pipes to leak. Nor do you want the plumbing in i.e. your digestive system to leak either and to malfunction, to have backups. I could use that plumbing metaphor, if you follow me now. And when that system starts, for example, starts to back up, starts to get clogged, starts to leak, you got issues, man. And sometimes they're difficult to deal with and can destroy the quality of your life. There's more than a few people listening and watching the show nodding their head, I know. Any number of things can make your digestive system go haywire. Your diet for sure and all the variables associated with that. Your lifestyle, too much stress, not enough sleep, too much alcohol, too much, I could go down the list. Then there's medications. And then, of course, you could have congenital, things that you're born with, problematic or genetic, for that matter. It's a system. It is a foundation of your health, is a metaphor I like to use. It's upon your health is your house, and it's built on that foundation. If you can't digest and absorb food, you're in a lot of trouble. It's got to begin there. I mean, you can have an IQ that's off the chain, and you can be awfully smart and whatever, but if you can't digest and absorb your food, you're impaired. So it begins there. It's the foundation. It's hard to argue against that. Of course, it makes good common sense, but you have to learn how to do things to take care of it, and that's why Dr. Kate is here today. Dr. Kate, welcome back.
Thank you.
So, okay, I'll leave it to you to guide us to what you think needs to be done here so we don't get backed up, so we don't leak, so the plumbing doesn't go haywire.
Well, the one most common thing, even if whether you have made changes in your diet yet or you haven't, or really regardless of what is going on, topping up the healthy bacteria in your intestines, improving the environment in your microbiome will make a massive impact on digestion, absorption, the nutrients that you're actually absorbing, as well as your immune system, even mood. There's an important connection between what's happening in the gut and what's happening in the brain and your mood in general. And so a good quality multi-probiotic formula, and there has been really advances in the technology behind producing these, and there's a wide range of quality that you'll find out on the market, and it's confusing, and it's an area actually I find that there's a lot of marketing misinformation or
Sure.
conflicting information.
And we'll get into that, and Dr. Kate will be back in just a moment.
Are you waking up each
digestion, the foundation of your health for sure. Dr. Kate Rowan Bleue is here today. Talk about digestion, how to keep your digestive system in good shape from, backing up, leaking, breaking down, not digesting food. As we go along, I'll drop in some features of the digestive system as Dr. Kate moves through her narrative. And I'll start off by telling you that it's digestion, yes, and keep in mind as she talks that there's mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. You have to start thinking that way. Dr. Kate, welcome back. Go ahead and pick up your point, please, where you left off.
Well, I was speaking about probiotics, but I really love your point about mechanical digestion. I'm a big proponent of chewing, and I'm always recommending that. But yes, moving right along down through the digestive tract into the intestines, small and particularly large intestines, this is just an absolutely mind-boggling area of research that we're really just beginning to understand the whole ecosystem that happens in the microbiome. We're talking about, hundreds of different species of bacteria making up trillions of cells, that outnumber our cells, and these healthy bacteria do things like promote, improve our digestion, support our immunity, and you really can top up these good bacteria with a good probiotic supplement. And studies have shown that makes all kinds of difference in terms of immunity, digestion, mood, all a variety of aspects of health. And as we were saying before, there's a big difference, and you'll find from the products on the market now, there are lots of them, in terms of quality, sophistication of the formulas, and the testing that goes in behind the formulas. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, what's a good probiotic? For all across the board, I usually recommend the double-strength Ultimate Multi-Probiotic. This is a Natural Factors product, and it contains a combination of 12 strains of bacteria, some for the large intestine, some for the small intestine, in a ratio that has been determined. Make sure that the bacteria don't compete with one another, tested for compatibility and stability, and that every strain has research behind it to support its benefits in the body.
Mm-hmm. And repeat the title of the product, please.
It's the Ultimate Multi-Probiotic, and this is just a great all-around formula for adults, the whole family. The double strength is a one-a-day type dosing.
Mm-hmm. Sold in fine health stores throughout North America, and if they don't carry the product in your health store, please inform the manager, the proprietor, and I'm sure they would be happy to get it for you. It's quite available. So that's for children and adults. Children, starting at what age should start to take probiotics, do you think?
Oh, kids can start to take probiotics even shortly after birth. Now, in that case, I would choose something, a different formula, one that's more geared towards children, because they do need more bifidobacteria than adults do. So something like children's multi-probiotic, for example. But the Ultimate Multi-Probiotic is a great choice for, generally the whole family, from school-age kids onwards. Adults and teens as well can benefit from this because of the wide range of bacteria and beneficial bacteria that you'll find in the formula.
And as you're listening to Dr. Kate talk, I remember I just made the point, there's a difference between mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. Chemical digestion is the breakdown of the food, which begins immediately in the mouth, then the stomach and intestines, and then the body uses acids and enzymes to help with that. As the food mixes with saliva, that chemical digestion begins in the mouth, and you have all these different enzymes that start to kick in right away. You can get enzymes, your body makes enzymes, but you can also get enzymes from your diet as well, right, Dr. Kate?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. We will get enzymes from fresh and fermented foods. There's a certain amount of that already in there, as well as what we produce starting right in the mouth, through the stomach, through every aspect or part of the digestive tract. And
just as a sidebar then, too, on mechanical digestion, that's the breakdown of food through chewing, swallowing, muscular movements. So it's both chemical and mechanical. Probiotics, digestive enzymes. Does natural factors have an I know they do. What about their enzyme supplements?
Natural Factors has a really comprehensive line of effective enzyme complexes and formulas that are very affordable and are great all-purpose, such as, for example, the multi-enzyme. That is a formula that contains enzymes to help break down starches, proteins, fats, and so this is helpful with every aspect of digestion, and it can help supplement what our bodies may not be producing as efficiently as we would like them to be. Mm-hmm. And so that can be really helpful for anybody suffering with bloating, feel like they're not digesting their food, feeling tired after meals is another sign that maybe your enzymes aren't being produced as well as they should be. It's a great all-around formula for digestive health.
Mm-hmm. And these itis disorders and diseases of the digestive system, we come back. If we could just address that for a moment, and if you could chat or talk about how they do reflect the nature of the way of what we're eating, what we're eating, our diet and our lifestyle, and how it is now that we seem to have a greater prevalence of these itis conditions associated with the digestive system. You want to get in touch to the show, this is how to do it.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255, or you can message me directly on Facebook. I answer your questions as we go along on the show.
Gary monitors the social media, our Facebook, as well as our own website and whatnot. And don't hesitate to call, message us. We'd love to hear from you. That's why we're here. We're here for you. It's always about the audience on Let's Talk Nutrition, Health Talk Radio for the 21st century. gastritis, diverticulitis, peritonitis, gastroenteritis, pharyngitis, ulcerative colitis. Those are just some of the itis disorders and diseases. Then you have other kinds of conditions of the digestive system, Crohn's disease, celiac disease, jaundice, colorectal cancer. The list is long when you look at all the things that can go wrong. Dysentery, appendicitis, I forgot the other itis, esophageal cancer, GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, gallstones that we talked about earlier, IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, stomach cancer, hepatitis, I forgot that one, diarrhea, constipation, the lady in the elevator asking people to raise her hand who has gas, bloating, and that commercial. Croup, vomiting, and it goes on and on. So when things, as I said, when things are bad, they tend to get worse. When things are bad, they tend to get worse. When things are good, they tend to get better. So when you start to go down that road of having all kinds of digestive issues, that's bad, and they tend to get worse. That's been my experience. Now, I didn't go to med school. I'm just a PhD trying to get along here. But, we figure it out. I got smart guests to come on, too. Dr. K, welcome back. It's great to have you on. I mean, when you think about it from a clinical perspective, people could walk through your office door, and I mean, the odds of having a digestive issue are pretty darn good any given patient, right?
Oh, very much so. It's so complex. There's so many things that can go wrong. It's kind of amazing that so many people, there are people out there with healthy digestion, because it is a sensitive area. All the itises you mentioned, those are all, of course, inflammatory conditions, and we're in the midst of an epidemic, it seems, of inflammation. Plus, it's also an area that is really affected by stress. If stress is going to manifest in your body as a disease, good chance it's going to hit the gut.
For sure. Stress is an interesting phenomenon. Of course, that's the fight or flight response, but it has this unique ability to find the weak spot, and it will affect that weak, whether it's your back, wherever, your neck, your stomach, your gut. I mean, it'll find it, and that system or that area of the body, anatomical area, will feel the effects. But nevertheless, that's a story for another day. Fiber. What would you say if everybody on the planet, well, let's just deal with North America, if Canada, U.S., Alaska, whatnot, if everybody increased their fiber intake, I dare say there would be almost an instant improvement in health, wouldn't there?
I absolutely agree. This is one area, there's lots of areas of health, of course, as we know, that are controversial. Some studies say one thing, some studies say the opposite. That is not the case with fiber. It is absolutely conclusively beneficial any way you look at it. Increasing fiber has so many benefits. In particular, they're feeding those healthy bacteria that we're talking about. But again, it's not just a matter of taking extra healthy bacteria, but feeding them what they like to eat, and they like to eat fiber.
Right, and they are looking. They engage in the bacteria in your body, both the good bacteria and the pathogenic, are engaged in at least three things. They want to eat. They're looking for a place to live, and they're constantly at war with one another. So you can help your good bacteria by giving them something to eat, so that they can proliferate, and you have more of them to win the battle. And they're looking for a place to live on your lining of your gut. So, fiber from natural factors.
My top one from natural factors is something called PGX. This is a unique blend of 3 soluble fibers, and now soluble is the ones that bacteria like to eat the most. And it is primarily touted as a weight loss product because it works well for that. It will make you feel full and satisfied, which helps you eat less. It will stabilize your blood sugar, which is extremely important for weight loss. But in my opinion, in my books, it's the fact that PGX acts like a prebiotic. In other words, it's a food for this beneficial bacteria, and yes, it promotes regularity. That's good too. That makes it so important, and that has the ripple effect on so many of the health benefits of this combination of 3 soluble fibers.
Mm-hmm. And PGX, again, it's sold in fine health stores throughout North America and other parts of the world. And those that are trying to be fine, here's a number to call.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
In my opinion, Dr. Kate, celiac disease, inflammatory bowel disease, gastroesophageal reflux disease, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, those really occupy a large sector of the population when it comes to gastrointestinal issues. That's a small number. I don't mean to just distill it down to those, but those seem to, I question, I'm sure in your practice and in your life as a professional, GERD, IBS, IBD, celiac disease, Crohn's disease. My God, you think these were just discovered, right? That they've been
Right.
Something is prompting them to come to the fore in such great prevalence, and it's diet and lifestyle. Yes,
That's right. Yep. Diet and lifestyle. I mean, gluten sensitivity is a big one when it comes to, obviously we know by definition that's what celiac is, but I see that component absolutely with GERD, no doubt, as well as, IBS, Crohn's colitis, that's always an aspect there. So that aspect of diet is so important. And again, the stress always exacerbates any kind of gastrointestinal condition.
Mm-hmm. We're approaching. Okay, so I have to check my clock. I lose track of time when this is so much fun. I mean, it's like being in class all the time, right? Either teaching or learning. You get caught up in it. For you, what is your basic digestive health protocol? What on average, what are you doing every day? What are the things that you're doing?
Probiotics every day, the ultimate multi-probiotic that I mentioned before, as well as sometimes the women's multi-probiotic. That's a basic. And you're right, keeping up fiber, which depending on the day may be PGX or some ground flax seeds or some ground chia seeds or a combination. And for me is enough, but for many patients I also do recommend an enzyme like the multi-enzyme formula, full spectrum enzyme support, high potency, or megazymes.
Okay, when we come back, we can talk about the enzymes. There's digestive enzymes, there's proteolytic or called systemic enzymes. We'll sort it out for you. We'll have the LTN health question of the day as well. the LTN health question of the day. Of course, it's a digestive question, related question. Simple. Which one is longer? The large intestine or the small intestine? Which one is longer? The large intestine or the small intestine? If you get the right answer, you'll win a $25 supplement gift card, and go for it.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
And I'll give you a hint. Things are not always what they seem. Dr. Kate, welcome back. What happens? First, let's deal with the digestive enzyme issue from natural factors. You alluded to them as we were headed into messages. Please continue.
Yeah, Natural Factors has a comprehensive line, several different formulas to cover basic digestion as well as digestion of particularly hard to digest foods like gluten and the dairy, the proteins that are found in dairy, which can be really helpful for people with sensitivities to those foods, which are really widespread. But even just for general digestive support to help supplement the enzymes that help break down proteins, fats, starches to improve nutrient absorption, it can be really very helpful.
Mm-hmm. And can you take digestive enzymes with probiotics at the same time?
Yes, very much so. They will not affect or break down the probiotics, and they can absolutely be taken at the same time.
Okay. So the health question was, which is longer, the large intestine or the small intestine? Let's go to Peoria, Illinois.
Home of Cat Diesel.
What am I making? I'm making up names here, man. It was creative, though. Let's go to Peoria. Matthew, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on, Matthew.
Yeah, good to be on. Thank you.
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Good. So which one is longer, Matthew, the large intestine or the small intestine?
Small intestine.
It is. The large intestine is about 5 feet, 1.5 meters. The small intestine's about 6 meters or about 20 feet. So people they get confused. They think large intestine, that means it must be longer. No, they're referring to the diameter is what they're referring to. Large intestine, they're sometimes called the colon as well.
Sure.
Do you think and worry about, not worry, but how much is your health on your mind on average each day? I mean, is it in the forefront of your thoughts?
Oh, sure. Yeah, health is your wealth, and
it is.
I definitely want to try to stay healthy.
How old are you, may I ask?
42.
42, so you're a young man. This is a good time of your life, and you need to. This is a great time. 42 years old, and you're obviously listening to the show, so health must be on your mind. So we appreciate your listenership, and we're glad that you're up there in Peoria. We do pretty well up there, by the way, in terms of listenership in Peoria. In case you
I certainly enjoy it. And also like your the Vitamin Discount Center. You got to open one up here.
Yeah. Well, they're not mine. They're a foundational sponsor to the show.
Okay.
I'm just a producer and the host, and like I said, a PhD trying to get along here. But we do okay, and I enjoyed talking with you, and I'm so glad you won. And thank you again for listening to the show, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure to do it. Dr. Kate, welcome back. So I have to ask you, why did you decide to hook up with Natural Factors?
Oh, I had been using Natural Factors products in my practice and realizing that they were absolutely the highest quality professional grade formulas that were very affordable for my patients. And it was, simply a matter of already using those and being familiar with them, that when they approached me to start doing some education, it made a lot of sense since I was already, familiar with the products and recommending them.
How much time in naturopathic school, in med school, at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, did you all talk about supplements? Did you talk about them much?
We do a little. And the exposure, it's relatively limited to certain brands that are more prevalent in what would be considered to be professional, lines. And yet that's when I made the discovery with Natural Factors that the quality is just as good and the formulas are just as good, but for more affordable for patients. But there is, there's a little bit of exposure to supplements in the education.
In naturopathic school?
Yeah, in the training. Yeah.
In the training, med school. Mm-hmm. I find that interesting. I thought that that it would be a highlight, a spotlight, or something that received some attention.
Well, what's interesting is we learn about individual ingredients, nutrients, botanical medicines, what have you, but not necessarily how they're available on the market in terms of which brands. And so there's a little bit of emphasis on that now, more so in the later years. But that's something that practitioners have to find for themselves in terms of what works for them in their practice in their patients.
My conversations with dietitians, I haven't looked at any surveys, but my conversations with them, and I have Dr. Chris Moore is a registered dietitian. He was smart. He's smart. He went to the University of Pittsburgh and he got his PhD, but he's also a dietitian. And I've talked with others, and they tell me that dietitians tend to not to embrace dietary supplementation use all that much. Some of the younger dietitians seem to be doing that. I wonder why that is.
It surprises me because it is just so tough for the average person and even anybody dedicated to their diet to get these nutrients in just using foods, really. In many cases, the therapeutic levels that we're looking for, you just can't do it.
Can't do it. Gary and I registered for Expo West. God willing, I'll make it there. Gary's going to come with me. We're going to come together. We're going to go out there and do some filming and talk to people. We hope we have an opportunity to meet you if you go and talk with you for a few moments. We enjoy having you on the show. You make a nice contribution and nice and smooth, no nonsense, easy to understand. I can even understand it. If I can understand it, the audience can understand it. So thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You take care of yourself, and we'll see you the next time, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Have a wonderful day up there in British Columbia. And wherever you are and however you're listening to the show, whatever you may be doing, please enjoy your day. Take care of your health. Think about your health. Put it on the forefront of your mind. It deserves it. It is indeed your wealth, and it is the wealth of the people in your life that care about and love you. I'll see you tomorrow.